Do you want my name?
All right, yes, I am interviewing Miss Marlene Baker. She's a participant here with the psychosocial assessment. All right, Miss Baker, can you please state your name
Marlene Baker,
and your age,
70,
your gender,
female.
and your ethnicity background?
My what? Oh,
Your-
white, I guess.
Okay, you're Caucasian. And your relationship status, you are
Married.
okay, great. And you have children.
Yes.
All of your children are living.
Yes.
And your employment status, you are
Retired.
now, okay? And what was your educational level?
I had an associate degree in nursing.
Okay, and then your living arrangement is,
We own our home.
so you and your
Private home.
so you and your husband, you guys live together.
Right.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your retirement. How has that been for you?
Good.
It's been good for you. Okay, great. So do you miss the hustle and
little bit.
bustle every day?
I did miss the relationships I had with the students and the staff that I worked with for a while, but after a couple of years, I didn't miss that even. So.
Okay, so you had a chance to kind of get away from everything and
Yeah.
just get some me time in there, so to speak. All right. As far as any disabilities, do you have any disabilities that you may feel is a disability? As far as ambulatory, you moving around?
I can move. My endurance may not be as good as it should be or could be, but otherwise, I feel like I'm in pretty good shape.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm limited.
Okay. And as far as just a brief medical history, again, you don't have to go in too far in depth on that. So how is your overall medical history?
Good. I did have melanoma back years ago, but it didn't spread or anything, so it was localized. Had neck surgery. Other than that, nothing major.
Okay. And as far as mobility, you said that as far as mobile, you're able to move around and do the
Yes,
things.
yeah.
that you-
I wouldn't be able to like walk several miles probably, but I can walk at least a mile easily right now.
So if you were able to walk several miles, would you be interested in doing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So, but your general satisfaction or dissatisfaction, I mean, are you satisfied with life today as far as health-wise,
The only
being...
thing right now, I have two issues. One is my weight, and the other is I have a lot of trouble sleeping at night. But those are the only two issues.
So,
My
minus...
weight is critical right now because I'm at my max.
So minus the weight and you're not being able to sleep.
Everything else is
Nice.
fine. Yeah.
Okay. Did you know what statistics states that a person that's in your age group, the amount of sleep that most of them get per night was coming? 6.
Oh, really?
6 hours coming. So how many hours are you getting?
No, it varies from night to night, but some nights 2 or 3, some nights 6 to 8. But I usually go 2 or 3 nights with like 2 or 3 hours of good sleep, and then I'll have one good night of 8 hours sleep probably. So to catch up, I guess is what it's doing. So.
Okay. And what about your ADLs and your IADLs? And your daily,
I know what that
is your daily, is your active daily activities?
Independent.
And as far as instrumental activities, you're able to perform that, cook for yourself,
Yes.
drive to the store yourself, answer the telephone, so you don't need any
No
assistance.
assistance.
I mean,
No.
that's actually a great thing. Okay. All right. Now, we just wrapped up the demographic and the physical status. We're going to move along to the psychological status, and in this piece, we're going to examine the mental health, the general outlook on life, your coping abilities, the effects, your memory, and your spiritual or religious. Man, I can't stop it. You got to keep going. All right. I was going to try to pause it for her.
Okay.
All right. Okay. How will you rate your overall mental status from aspects of your cognitive ability, your ability to understand, your intelligence, to carry on the conversation and be just conscious of where you are, what's going on in that regard.
As good as it's ever been, probably.
Okay. Well, you know that they state that individuals who were sharp early on in life, that was able to learn that in their, and as they age, they're able to still further that learning. It's called fluid learning, things you learned from then until now. So, and still be able to apply that. That's considered to be fluid learning. So I think everything is there as well. So, okay, how about your general outlook on life? How you feel about that?
Good.
So are you hopeful?
Yes.
Okay. And the personality piece, paradigms and morals and belief is what shape our, personality, which is reflect our world views of how we see the world. And there's no right or wrong way. Everybody's, have a right to create their own realities, and in doing so, they would mimic or adapt the behavior, how they respond to the world based on their personality. So, for your personality, how would you explain it as what? From a worldview perspective.
I don't know if you mean like outgoing. I think I'm positive most of the time. Caring. I don't know what else.
Okay. And what about coping abilities when things are not so good?
I tend not to talk things out. I tend to hold things in, and that causes some issues.
So when you hold it in and not able to express yourself.
Yes, and then I blow.
So it's like a
It all
compound, and then it comes out. It comes out.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And as far as memory goes, how's your memory as far as do you feel like that is maybe deteriorating a little bit?
A little bit, definitely, but not to the point where it's affecting my lifestyle. But I can see that I'm forgetting things, and I can't remember like vacations from last year, the year before. I mean, I can't remember facts about things.
But as far as like 10, 15, 20 years ago, can you remember?
I can remember my adolescent, high school, and all better than I can the last 5 years ago. It's the most recent memory that I seem to be having problems with. So.
There is ongoing studies that shows that we're still able to, for a memory piece of it, we're able to remember things. The brain have a huge capacity for memory. However, it's not affected by age, but as we age, the way that we remember things is the key component in that. So we have to kind of tailor things a certain way, the way we can remember those things. But the brain is filled full with capacity to remember. So that's a point I want you to keep in mind, that just because your age don't feel like, well, I can't remember things anymore. It's just the way you remember things had to be, alternated a little bit. Okay. What about your spirituality or your religions? How do you feel about that?
I have mixed feelings. I was brought up in a religious family, very strong, but as I've gotten older, I've swayed a little bit from that, and I'm not sure exactly what I believe anymore. I do believe there's a heaven, I believe there's a God, but I'm a little hypocritical, I think, about the way religion is being handled this day and time. I think it's too commercialized, so I have a problem with that. But I do have inner spirituality. I feel like I'm at peace, and I do feel like there's a heaven.
Okay, so
I don't know.
Are you in agreement with me that there's a difference between spirituality and religion?
Religion? Yeah.
Okay.
Religion is the way certain aspects of spirituality, how the different types of it, I think, is but to me, spirituality is how you feel inside.
Right. And religion is more of it's more organized, more everyone in the community or within the congregation have a respected position. So it's more like a practice.
Yes.
Spirituality is more of a transcendent from self to higher power, something to other, like a God or someone that we pray out to. So it goes beyond the self to feel a connectedness, so to speak. So that's how I interpret what spirituality does, and also it's been associated with better mental health, because spiritually, spiritually speaking, if you are in tune with yourself in spirit, the better it's going to foster mental health, because you feel that connection to people or to a higher power that goes beyond self. So that is actually a great piece, and it's also improved self-esteem as well. So all that's been linked to that. And again, it's the transcendence beyond oneself, and that gives us meaning and a sense of connectedness to others in life, so to speak. So I don't know if that help clears that up for you a little bit or not, but it is pretty much what we look at in the field of social work and psychology now. As far as your social functioning, identify your social or your support system and your personal ability to participate within these systems. So describe a typical day for you. What's a typical day? Let's start there.
It's mostly involved around my family. So I do whatever's needed as far as what my family needs, and then the rest of the day I just try to stay busy at home.
So when you wake up in the morning and you get dressed,
and I think, okay, what do I have to do today? And then I think, okay, I don't have to do anything, so now what am I going to do?
Okay.
And here lately, that's been difficult because I haven't had as much to do.
So
I like being busy. I've always liked being busy. So.
And since you're retired now,
and I was still busy because I had grandkids to take care of. But now my grandkids have I don't have to babysit or do any of those things anymore. So I don't feel as busy.
So
I'm bored.
so you're bored. So from a cycle socialization point of view, you would like to have more things to do, more engagement.
I would like to have the option to have more things to do. I don't want to be obligated to have to do more things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the times you feel up to and you want to go do something is there to do.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a little frustrating because Jerry isn't on the same page with me on that. He's ready. He's already to the level of where he's happy to sit at home watching TV or whatever, and I'm not there yet.
Yeah, because you had been a nurse for all those years,
yeah.
and
I'm
you
used to being busy.
And with people and engaging and whatnot, and inspiring people and taking care of folks as well. So I guess that's a natural feeling, I would suppose. So moving along, so we discussed that. And what about, so as far as your participation level goes, you would be interested in participating more if there was things to do at your leisure. Okay. All right, now that's fair. Okay, now I spoke earlier that we was going to discuss a sexuality, but we don't have to go into great details on the function of that. As studies have shown that as most older adults, as they age, especially with men, prostates, libido, that sort of thing, is not able to, have an erection, and likewise with women in their as early as their late 40s, early 50s, experiencing menopause and not being able to produce the estrogen in the body and to all that stuff like that, and so taking away a lot of the pleasure because of the pain in those areas. So Again, we don't have to go into detail on that, but that's just some of the pointers that has came out, and with widows and widowers, some of them really don't really care about it, or if they have chronic illnesses that affects their bodies. So a lot of times they don't be care for that. But the ones who's still active and can participate in that arena, they definitely desire that. But unfortunately, some people just a little different when it comes down to that. And we don't have to get deep into finance or economics. We just knowing that you do receive a retirement and things okay in that area. Of course, we can always have more, but you're able to provide the basic necessities for yourself, which is great on that. So we'll skip over those two things right there. Mainly, what about, are there any potential problems that you are experiencing that maybe you could discuss if you feel comfortable with, without being too in depth? So I mean, we all have problems, the young, the old, the babies, whatever. We all have some sort of problem. Some can be worked out, some can't. But are there any like severe issues, severe problems, or that you may feel oppressed or being disengaged from?
Just want to travel, and my husband doesn't want to travel, so I don't know what else. That's depressing to me right now. So.
Right. Okay. So you would like to be able to have the what term I want to use, not the ability, because you have the ability, but you would like to say, hey, I want to travel here today, and it won't have to be a disagreement on it. Okay, well, that's what you want to do, let's do it. Or I don't want to tag along this time, but let's put you in position where you can go maybe with a friend or two. That's something you want to do.
Yeah, and that's probably what I need to start looking at. But I'm not quite ready to do that yet.
Right. Well,
so, and I'm afraid to travel. I thought, well, I'll just go on a trip by myself, but I'm not quite ready to do that either. So
right.
I'm not independent enough, because I think, well, what if the car breaks down?
Right.
Think of all the negative things that could happen. So
well, you do know the answer to that is a nice cheap rental car. So if something happens, you make a phone call, and they're coming, right?
Yeah.
So they're coming. You just have to be mindful of where you stay, where you go, and that sort of thing there. So and again, maybe that's something that will help your social functioning, because right now you are in the early stages of late adulthood. So 75 is not here yet, and 75 to 84 years old is generally where people start visiting the hospital more. They're being more sick. They're not as active. So that's when we start slowing down, unfortunately. So you 70 what again?
70.
So you're 70. So you got a good 5 years to capitalize on that. And so maybe that's something that you may want to, reiterate to Mr. Baker on that,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay. So we covered that basis there. Okay, we got the problem. So, well, again, overall, just reflecting back on our quick assessment here, I don't necessarily see that from a physical point of view, your psychological and emotional well-being, as far as your mobility, cognitively. I think everything there is fine. However, I would suggest that maybe you need some more social engagement, to where it's isolation, not sitting in, and also being available to help out when needed, with the grandkids or whomever else is great. But also that's still like work. It's really not leisure, but again, it's giving you something to do, because of you sit in the home every day, and you live in a rural area, so there's not a whole lot of interaction other than with nature. So that being said, that might be something to look forward to as far as more social engagement. Do your city where you live, Burleson, do they have a
Senior
citizen
citizen.
place to where you can go and engage and meet people.
Yeah, they do, and I may need to. You know, it's most of the time it just seems like there's something that does come up that makes me busier than what I think I am. Like this week, I'm thinking there's not one day I don't have something to do, so it varies. So I hate to get tied down, like I said, joining one of those. Of course, you don't have to go all the time. But I do need to look into that. There is a good senior citizen in Burleson, and I thought about doing some volunteer work too, because I think that would be good for me too.
Well,
Just haven't done that. And again, once you sign up for that stuff, people expect you. When I understand, they expect you to do stuff, and I'm not quite ready to do that yet. So.
Well, with generativity, that's people that's in your age group reaching back to my generation, ones a little older than I am, as far as enhancing their lives and showing them in ways to do things, ways of the old and new. That way, we both can get something from the relationship, and being able to positively interact with your environment, ego integrity, meaning that when you reflect back over your life, you can assign meaning to your life. That hey, this is what the life that was chosen for me, with that higher power, spiritually speaking. And you know what? I can assign meaning to my life. I've had a great life, accomplished a lot of things. And no matter if we live for 1,000 years, we still want to get a chance to do everything we want to do. It's just one big life and world. And then if we were to be selfish and do it, then we definitely didn't, how would that make us, well, what would be our legacy to people if we did everything we wanted to do and didn't have time for no one else? So so that's something else to be positive about, opposed to, sitting there being sad and ego despair is what that term is called. Well, I hate my life. I didn't get a chance to do this and that. I regret. None of that. So the fact that, all of the areas seem to be intact, it just, I think more social engagement would be a benefit to you. And on that note, we're getting closed, and I thank you for being a part of this interview, and I will complete both assessments and get back with you.
Get back with me is what I need to do.
Right.
Okay.
Now.